won't talk, so I'll step back a little bit. Is this better?
Yes.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. My name is Pauline, and this is Ona. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Ona.
We are organizers with New Hampshire Youth Movement, and we are super honored and grateful that you're all here today. Do you want to tell them about Wednesday? Yeah. So we had an event this past Wednesday, November 4th, at the State House in Concord, and today we're gathered here to create local meaning out of this national moment. I know there's been a lot of internal and external turmoil in the midst of all of this, and our bodies gathered here is a form of protest against stagnancy and individualism. So from the Zoom to the room here, we're gathered, what did I say? We want to here to continue the work for Progressive KEENE, and we're here for the many people that we love right now, and for the many people that we are going to learn to love in the future. I'm really excited that we're all here, seeing new faces and old faces, and thanks for coming out. So, we've all been busting our asses to win this election. I know you all have as well. And it's easy to think that that's where the work ends, but now that election season is coming to a close, this is where the work really begins. And so today we're going to hear from some local grassroots organizers as well as some newly elected progressive politicians who are on our team. Hell yeah. We're going to hear from these folks who are doing the work right here in our community, and you're going to hear about a bunch of different causes, a bunch of different strategies, and our hope today is that you can find an organization and or a cause that really resonates with you and find an opportunity to get involved in that work and be in community now that election season is coming to a close. So I'd like to invite up Andrea from Rights and Democracy to kick us off.
Hi, my name is Andrea Palizis, and I am on the board of Rights and Democracy. I'm also a founding member of our Monadnock chapter of Rights and Democracy. It used to be Monadnock Progressive Alliance. We are now Monadnock Rights and Democracy, or Monadrad. Anyway, we as an organization, both locally and bi-state, because RAD is a bi-state organization, New Hampshire and Vermont, we are in it for the long haul. The vote that is still going on is clearly just a start. We have so much to do. 70 million people in this country voted for Trump. That scares the hell out of me. And it tells me how much work we have to do reaching out. We have to be moving out of our community and into the larger community, and we have to be making our voices heard. As part of RAD, that is what we do. RAD is a multi-issue organization. We have committees and groups. We're working with the surge. We have a surge group right now. In fact, it'll be meeting Tuesday night. See either me or Heather if you want more information on that. We are involved in healthcare justice. We are working on climate change issues. We are working, I'm sure I've got a list here, education, the overdose crisis, immigration. We have issues going on. We are working in different pockets all over. And we need people volunteering. We need people coming out because there's so much work to do. We certainly could use financial help. We have a tremendous team working across the two states. keeping it all going and doing this work 40, 50. I'm sorry to say that some of them are working 60 hours a week on this work because it's so important and we could really use your help. I think I just want to thank you all for being here today and for helping us move forward with this movement for just and equitable communities for us to live in. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Andrea. Next up we have Maria Perez, who has just been elected to the State House of Representatives in Hillsborough, and we're so excited for her win.
Yeah, you're there.
I'm sorry, but I'm going to take my mask off because I want my voice to be here today, and I want to be able to people to see my face, to see the face that I've been fighting against racism. I've been fighting against people telling me that I don't belong to this country when I've been here 32 years, and I've been told that I don't belong to my neighborhood when I've been like in my neighborhood for so many years. And I'm here to tell people on my skin color, I don't care where you're from, I don't care what language you speak, you belong to this country. If you're paying taxes, if you're working hard, if you have your family here, you belong to this country, and people cannot tell you you don't belong here. So when people say that New Hampshire is innocent, that's not true. New Hampshire is not innocent. We have so much discrimination in this state, it's not even funny. When you have a neighbor telling you that it's taking pictures of your house because he thinks that your family and yourself is doing something illegal, and then it's going to take those pictures and take it to the police department, that's really sad. And that's what my family's been going through. Someone was taking pictures, going behind my house and taking pictures of my family, like at the middle of the night with a flashlight, and telling me in my own face that he was taking pictures because we don't belong to the neighborhood and we don't belong to this country and people in our neighborhood don't like us. We can't let people do that. Not just for me, but for all of us, like people of my skin color, people like different skin color. Just because we speak a different language or we have a different skin color, it doesn't mean we don't belong in here.
That's right.
And we need to be respected. And that's why I'm here, and that's why I'm happy to be the first Salvadorian, Latina, state representative in District 23, Milford. And I'm here to ask you to help rights and democracy. We work really hard to bring the community together, but without your help, we can't do it alone. We need all you guys to be with us. Just because the election is over, our work is not over. We have to continue our work, especially right now that we lost so many seats. We have to work for 2022. Make sure that we get those seats back. I'm asking you, please help us. And then the other thing that I'm going to tell you about is like people with medical conditions, they've been declined the unemployment rights because I was told that I don't have the rights to have an employment because I have a medical condition, that I don't supposed to be exposed to people without a mask. And now the government is asking me to pay them back when I've been working 32 years in this country and never asked for any help. And I asked for unemployment for 3 weeks, and now they're asking me to pay back $2,100. Or they're gonna take my house away from me. How fair is that? How fair is that? I wonder how many people they try to get an employment and they've been told that if they want an employment, they're going to take their houses away. We need to fight. We need to work for these people. We need to work for the rights of the people. With this pandemic, they're going through so many hard things. You know, they don't have food on the table. They're losing their houses. Please help me. I can't fight alone. I need your help. Thank you.
You got it.
Thank you so much, Maria. Thank you for your courage and sharing with us and reminding us how essential it is to be fighting for labor rights for us working people. The Republican Party is not here for that, and so we have to fight against that. Next up, we're going to have Sue from Project Home working to help asylum seekers here in Keene.
A few things. My name is Susan Hay, and I'm here. I'm actually pinch hitting for another member of Project Home who suddenly couldn't make it today, but I'm very glad to be here. And I want to start, I guess, with a full-throated apology to the young people here for the chaos that my generation is leaving you. And with just a statement that it's our responsibility as activists that are older to figure out how to support and amplify your voices, because there's a lot coming down the road to you guys. A lot here and a lot that's coming. So Project Home, you know, in social justice work, right, there's that advocacy, on the ground support aspect of it, and there's the, you know, working to change the laws and the rights that people have. Project Home is squarely situated in making lives better for asylum seekers who come to our country seeking safe harbor and are put in jail. And a year ago, I stood here on this stage and said, you can still hear me, right? And said, if asylum seekers do not belong in jail, where do they belong? They belong in our communities. And there is no reason on the face of this earth that a community like Keene can't support 5 asylum-seeking families or individuals. You know, you bring them here, you support them, you help them, they get stable, you go get another one. And then, so that's half of our mission. The other half is to say, if we want to empty detentions, every community across this country needs to be able to do this. So that was a year ago, August. Today, we have a totally volunteer organization. We're a nonprofit. As Andrea said, you know, we're working our butts off. We have 4, and when we bring people here, they live with families in Keene. I am so proud of our community because we didn't even have to go find these host families. They found us. People heard about us and came to us and said, I am willing to open my home and bring a family here to live with me throughout their asylum-seeking process, which can be over 2 years long. So right now, we have 3 families. Maria, we have a family from El Salvador, a young mom and her daughter. We have a family from Guatemala, a young mom with 3 children. We have a family from Mexico, 2 parents and 3 children. And we have a man from Rwanda. We will bring our 5th family here somewhere between now and the middle of the first quarter. Okay? And we have started our work across New Hampshire and in concert, so it mirrors RAD a little bit, in concert with people in Vermont, saying, all right, how do we make the parts more than the whole more than the sum of the parts? There's a lot of organizations working on this. How do we pull together and replicate this across our states, you know, and then expand it from there? We do a little bit of work, mostly educating our national and state representatives to understand the forces that these folks are up against, and to ask them to intervene when it is possible or when they're willing, which is not always the case. This is not the world's bravest, state and federal elected officials, but they're engaged with us and they're willing to work with us on some level. We need lots of help. As Andrea said, we could certainly use some funds, but so just a few things. There's a lot of work transporting people, helping them, with the education system. Our education system, our schools have been amazing, in welcoming these families in. Our medical system has been amazing. All our clients are getting free primary care. It's just amazing. So far, lawyers have been willing to donate their time. We know that won't stay forever. We know we're going to run out of that. But right now, for example, if there's anybody out there with bookkeeping skills, we need a few hours a month of that. If they're, you young folks, we are not facile with social media, so we would be happy to have somebody come help us with that. But there's a million different ways to get involved with us. And yeah, that's what I have to tell you. I love this work. I see a lot of people in the audience that are part of this in different ways. These are people, it's not their job to be our best friends or to make us feel good, but these are wonderful people working hard to overcome obstacles we can't even imagine, as Maria said. We can't even imagine, that have dealt with things that we will not have to deal with. And we are so fortunate to have them in our communities, and we want to keep them here. So if anybody is interested, I can't stay for the whole event because, again, I'm pinch hitting today, but if there's anybody that's interested in learning more about Project Home, a couple of things. You can go to our website, projecthomnh.org, or you can come up to me and I'll give you my phone number and we can connect and we can figure out, I'll get you on our email list and we can figure out how maybe your interests and your talents and time could be helpful to us. Okay? So thanks for being here. Thank you folks at the Youth Movement for doing what you're doing. And Rad, you guys have been fighting this fight really hard, and I'm thrilled by this partnership. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Sue. Like she said, if that work is work you want to get involved in, please go find her, talk with her, and exchange that contact info. Up next, we're going to have Kim, who is a local folk singer, songwriter, and teacher who's written some music in response to this moment, and we're going to hear from her next.
I'm going to unmask because I cannot sing with a mask on. I'm going to ask you to quietly sing along with me, not with deep breaths and lots of projection, just very calmly. Hum under your breath, sing lightly, but we do need to sing together. We just need to not spread a virus while we're doing it. I am becoming more involved with writing and making and singing songs for social justice. And I have 2 or 3 for you today. They all have refrain lines or choruses, things for you to sing on. Things to kind of bring us in and bring us together. So even if you only sing inside your head, please sing with me. Okay? Lead with love. It's a better way to do it. Lead with love. It will help us to get through it. Lead with love. Though it's been an awful year. Lead with love, only love can topple fear. Lead with love, that's your part. Lead with love. When you stride out on your mission, lead with love. Even if you're a politician, lead with love. Although their power may be great, lead with love. Only love can conquer hate. Lead with love. When you sit down for a talk, lead with love. When you march or dance or walk, lead with love. While the vote count you await, lead with love. Only love can conquer hate. Lead with love. I'd love to hear you a little bit. Lead with love. When you tend and serve and teach, lead with love. When you protect and when you preach, lead with love. Even when your life's at stake, lead with love. Only love can conquer hate. Lead with love. With strangers and with friends, lead with love. At all beginnings and all ends, lead with love. And though the hour is growing late, lead with love. Only love can conquer hate. Thank you. I think of each song I receive as a gift that I need to keep passing on. Lucius, this one's for you. This is a song for social justice for elementary school age and up. I like counting songs when I'm a teacher, and this is a counting song with a geometric progression to challenge elementary school age. So, one brave girl of determined mind sat outside with a homemade sign. Another child came along, and together they sang this song. Get together, people, save this earth. We all have to help for this to work. Cool the climate, clean the sea. It's all up to you and me. Two young children on a protest line, feeling hopeful and holding signs. Another two children came along. Together they sang this song. Get together, people, save this earth. We all have to help for this to work. Cool the climate, clean the sea. It's all up to you and me. Four young children on a protest line, wearing smiles and holding signs. Four more children came along. Together they sang this song. Get together, people, save this earth. We all have to help for this to work. Cool the climate, clean the sea. It's all up to you and me. 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, then more and more. Climate strikes spread all over the world. It started with one brave girl. Get together, people, save this earth. We all have to help for this to work. Cool the climate, clean the sea. It's all up to you and me. It's all up to you and me. Do I have time for one more, or should I clear the stage for the next?
More years.
Go for it, Kim.
All right. I wrote this one when the fires were raging in California and we were having a drought here, and it seemed like we need all kinds of rain. So this is about needing rain. We are parched. We are thirsty for the truth. Our hopes and dreams are dying. We need rain. We've had enough. We've had enough of this injustice. Enough of all this lying. We need rain. Let it rain. Truth. Let it rain. Justice. Let it rain. Compassion. Let it rain. Let it rain. Mercy. Let it rain. Kindness. Let it rain. Understanding. Let it rain. We are tired of living in fear of racist hate and violence. We need rain. We want more. We want honor and respect. We want honesty and safety. We need rain. So let it rain. Truth, let it rain. Justice, let it rain. Compassion, let it rain. Let it rain. Mercy, let it rain. Kindness, let it rain. Understanding, let it rain. We are scared. The western hills are burning. Our homes are all on fire. We need rain. And the hate. And this awful conflagration. Save the future for our children. We need rain. Sing it with me. Let it rain. Truth. Let it rain. Justice. Let it rain. Compassion. Let it rain. Let it rain. Mercy. Let it rain. Kindness. Let it rain. Understanding. Let it rain. Thank you.
Let's get another round of applause for him. And as some folks may have seen, if you've been looking at your phone in the last 10 minutes, the Associated Press called the race for Joe Biden. My adrenaline is like really good right now. So I'm gonna invite us to do two things. One, we're just gonna like do a shake, yell, get out your energy, and then we'll take a big old breath together. So if you're able and want to, let's like for a minute. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh my god. Wild.
Get back to work.
That's right. We are getting back to work. Alright, so wow, my brain just went blank for a moment. Up next we're going to have Morgan. They are a student at Antioch University with myself, studying dance and movement therapy, and a really dope activist fighting for, fighting for everyone on our campus. But recently won gender-neutral restroom on our campus, and I and many of our peers are super, super grateful. Before Morgan comes up here, let's take that breath together. So everyone can breathe in and out. And let's do one more for good measure. Breathe in and out. Awesome. Welcome, Morgan. Wow. All right, can everyone
Okay. All right. What a note to come up to. Honestly, the timing is awesome. So as Pauline said, my name is Morgan Grant. I'm a third-year graduate student in dance movement therapy and clinical mental health counseling at Antioch. So in my life, my primary role has been a student, and as such, my organizing has primarily existed within the sphere of colleges and universities. So at Antioch, I've had the opportunity to work with faculty, students, and staff and the administration to encourage everybody to take tangible action steps in the alignment with our mission statement, which really speaks directly to social justice, environmental justice, and racial justice. Actually was just recently added to our mission statement. Most recently, as Pauline said, I was involved in petitioning for the installation of all-gender restrooms on campus, which has been an unacted upon concern at Antioch for over a decade. And I'm happy to say that with a coordinated effort and impassioned pleas to those in power in a visible way, we were able to get the work done. So trans people have a place to pee. The bar is low, but the steps move, right? What came out of that is really important is that it led to an increase in participation for our Justice Leadership Council and also the outgrowth of student government, which has also been kind of a long-standing effort at Antioch to get that going. I think there's a lesson to be learned there about taking strategic advantage of momentum, which is why this moment in time is so critical, as have many moments been over the past, year, 4 years, and beyond. But I think, we're all on our individual paths, and we're all getting there in different ways, and I think that's really beautiful. For me, my path has taken kind of a different quality since May, since the murder of George Floyd. This was the moment where the phrase anti-racism started to hit a little bit differently. We saw large-scale pushes for white people specifically to learn more, to do better, to step up, lean into allyship and difficult conversations, but most importantly, to try and find a way to make this work sustainable every day, not just in sporadic reactionary efforts after someone's murder has once again gone viral, but to embody the values we claim to have and show up every day to model those values in every aspect of our lives. But what does it mean to literally show up like that over and over again when we're all so tired? When sometimes I feel hopeless and helpless and even the smallest things feel impossible. And I'll be honest with you all, until kind of this moment where it's slowly alleviating, I've been in and out of dissociation since Tuesday. It's been really, really hard to keep going. That kind of place where every shower you take and every meal you eat is like a huge victory for you. That's where I've been. And I don't know if anyone is there with me, but it's been a rough couple days.
We're there with you, Morgan.
Yeah, thank you. So this has been heavy on my mind, especially lately. What does it mean to show up? How do you keep showing up when you feel like crap? And also why acknowledging that you feel like crap is part of showing up. There's a famous Audre Lorde quote that makes the rounds every so often, and I think it's worth repeating here. Caring for myself is not self-indulgence, it is self-preservation, and that is an act of political warfare. As a therapist and as a person with lived experience with mental health struggles and traumatic injury, one of the most important things I've learned and I'm constantly learning are the practices of self-care, community care, and self-compassion. I'm also deeply passionate about embodied activism through the radical prioritization of these practices in a time where success is measured by individual acts of heroism, productivity, pushing oneself to the point of fatigue to get the work done, and neglecting to acknowledge the heart and spirit of matters at hand, and even dismissing the heart, spirit, and humanity in other people. We've all had to bear witness to an exorbitant amount of violence and hatred in this country, perhaps more than we know what to do with. Moving forward from this moment, this strategic, momentous point in time, we are tasked with reckoning with our own reflections mirrored to us by this election, by the last 4 years, by the last 400 years of American history. We are tasked with soothing the wounds inflicted by hatred. We know from the latest neuroscientific research that these wounds are passed down from body to body, from generation to generation. We know that they're passed through victims and targets of oppression, but also through the perpetrators of oppression. It's passed down through our bodies. White body supremacy can and does live in our hearts, our bones, our connective tissue, and our DNA. So how do we heal? Yes, contact your legislators. Yes, get involved in local politics. Yes, sign petitions and protest and scream as much and as loudly as you'd like. And also, remember to check in with what lives in your homes, in your bodies, in your hearts, in your personal lives, with your friends. Lean into difficult conversations with those whose viewpoint you think you can't possibly understand, with family members and colleagues who share opposing viewpoints, who think they're not racist but maybe not quite getting the point. Ask them how they came to know what they know. Ask yourself these same questions. Relearn the language of your body, when it activates and constricts based on a perceived threat, and when it expands to create space for others. And challenge yourself to stand up for moral convictions wherever you have a chance to do so, knowing that decolonization is not a metaphor, but a way to embody the values that we hold dear, that we speak about so often, and put them into practice in as many places as we can. There's opportunity for activism everywhere. It starts at home, and it starts in our blood. It starts in our bodies. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Morgan. Incredibly important perspective. We have to be, if we're not taking care of ourselves and looking at our own bodies and our own lived experience, there's no way that we can turn that outward to other people. Up next, our penultimate speaker, we have Amanda Toll, who is a wonderful progressive and New Hampshire Youth Movement endorsed candidate, newly elected to the State House right here in Keene, and we're so lucky to have her here today with us.
Thank you.
Thank you both so much to the New Hampshire Youth Movement and to RAD for organizing this wonderful event. I think they deserve applause. Great, amazing. So good morning. My name is Amanda Elizabeth Toll, and I'm your newly elected state representative for Keene. It is so wonderful to be gathered here with all of you to continue to demand that we have a peaceful transition of power. We worked hard to beat Trump, a fascistic leader who, alongside his cabinet and Senate, has exacerbated every societal, social ill that already existed and has handled the COVID-19 pandemic in such a disastrous way that it has resulted in the loss of 230,000 Americans. That the national election was this close is a travesty. And let's remember that without the Electoral College, Joe Biden would have won easily. Joe Biden won the presidency by 4 million votes. So we got to get rid of the Electoral College. Now we must make sure that the peaceful transfer of power occurs and that the Trump administration relinquishes the presidency. We must continue to build strong social movements that hold our government accountable and push them closer to the needs of the people.
Yes.
Third, we have to acknowledge that the racism, xenophobia, and misogynistic values that brought Trump and his allies to power are still extremely prevalent, and we need to change hearts and minds through love and community building.
Yes.
We can no longer let the 1% manipulate poor white people to vote for the GOP by scapegoating people of color and pretending to be pro-family.
Exactly.
Billionaires who have paid for their mistresses to have abortions, identifying with poor people as outsiders or pro-life is ludicrous. We need to change the way we speak about certain issues.
Yes.
We need to push beyond our comfort zones and have conversations.
Yes.
Tuesday, youth had the highest vote turnout ever. The youth went 2-1 against Trump, a larger gap than any age bracket. 2/3 of New Hampshire Youth Movement's progressive candidates won their seats. As Josie, New Hampshire Youth Movement's political director, has pointed out, this is not a coincidence. It's about fired up faces and messaging. I think sometimes my well-intentioned colleagues water down their message in hopes that it will be palatable to the middle. Unfortunately, they too often sound apologetic for their policy positions and make the policy positions in and of itself sound mediocre at best. A great example of this is how they talk about abortion. Sometimes they can't even say the word. So they'll say something like this: it's a choice I would personally never make, but I don't think it's the government's position to tell people what to do. When I speak about abortion, it sounds like this: I had an abortion. It allowed me to go to college, graduate school, own my own business, and when I was ready, have a child. Having control over my reproduction was critical of importance for my health, well-being, and ability to control the course of my life. This is just my story. Everyone's story who's had an abortion is different, but they are all valid. Everyone deserves the freedom to decide when or when not to have children and under what conditions. When you talk about abortion or any public policy issue in an apologetic way, it's not likely to sway folks who are on the fence. This holds true for virtually any issue, but I'll give one more for good measure. Let's talk about taxes. From my perspective, many Democrats spend way too much time and energy ineffectively fighting off right-wing attacks on how Democrats approach taxes. Republicans will say, we won't raise your taxes. The Democrats want to take your hard-earned money. Too often the response is defensive to the point of taking a pledge. Many good candidates have fallen into this trap and they still don't win elections. I think instead we need to directly talk about how taxes to fund social services is actually a positive thing. Here's an example. I will assess all tax legislation from the perspective of supporting progressive taxation. No one loves paying taxes. However, we need taxes in order to fund critical social services. My philosophy is those who can contribute more, wealthy individuals and corporations, should pay more. And what we are asking for is actually so little, but could make a huge difference. This morning, I re-looked over the wealth taxes Senator Sanders and Senator Warren spoke of in the primary, and I find them very compelling, and they aren't radical. Additionally, I believe people are more likely to feel good about taxes if the money is spent on services that everyone benefits from: schools, healthcare, parks, etc. In societies with strong social services, there is less violence. As a result, there is less of a need to spend money on criminalization and militarization. In the long run, spending funds to make sure everyone's basic needs are met, all citizens are educated, and we have thriving recreational spaces such as parks and libraries will mean saving money. And here in New Hampshire, we really need to be rethinking about taxes, especially stopping giving tax breaks to large out-of-state corporations. So there's less cost shifting to the local taxpayers, hurting folks on fixed incomes.
Yes.
Republicans spend lots of American taxpayer money, but they do it on useless wars, prisons, and corporate contracts. We will use tax funds to directly improve the quality of everyone's lives. Finally, we must look for opportunities to connect on what unites us. It does not help us to call white, poor Trump supporters rednecks and hicks, and to call Democrats who we feel are not radical enough corporate Democrats. In the same vein that they isolate us when they call a self-identified female Bernie Sanders supporter a Bernie bro. We also need to show up. We can't influence Democratic Party politics if we aren't there. Look at all the good folks like Nina Turner and AOC who have made a big difference by being involved both in social movements, Democratic Party politics, and just being good human beings active in their communities. Let's strive for all three. We can hold our ground on progressive public policy and strive to have good interpersonal relationships with everyone. Part of being progressive is not just policy positions. it's how you treat other people. On Tuesday, I was standing with the New Hampshire youth movement at a polling station, and there was a little boy stationed a few feet away from us holding a Trump sign. The youth movement volunteers put on music and started dancing, and the little boy started dancing too. There were lots of smiles being exchanged between us and the young Trump supporter. I was happy that this was his introduction to progressives, not yelling at him or his dad, but folks being warm. Progressive public policy benefits everyone. Poor black people are being killed by police brutality, mass incarceration, and poverty. Poor white people are being killed by lack of clean drinking water, medical debt, addiction, domestic violence. When I drive not too far out of Keene to places like neighboring Hinsdale, New Hampshire, and I see poor white folks living in conditions of poverty with Trump flags in their yards, I know we've got to figure out a way to connect, because everyone needs health care. Everyone needs this earth to be cared for so that she can sustain us. Everyone needs to feel a sense of community. Fellow progressives, we can build progressive social movements that foster a sense of love and community. People flock to right-wing churches because for many that's the only place they get a sense of being cared for and being part of something that's bigger than themselves. Let's offer that to people. That's how we're going to win. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Amanda. I've had the pleasure of hearing her speak so many times through the last couple weeks, and it's always a delight. All right. We'll wait. I gave this speech in Concord on Wednesday, and I'm going to give it again here. I think that I stand behind this even more given the results we just found out. I want to start by saying the two things that I think should be the undercurrent of every political and humane conversation we have, which are two things I think should underscore all of our political conversations, and those are land back and Black Lives Matter. Unequivocally. I also want us that even as we're celebrating, I really believe in holding multiple things being true at the same time, and that as we celebrate, we also grieve. We grieve the people who we have lost at the hands of the state this year, by the inhumane response to a pandemic, by government-sanctioned policing, by the Republican administration enabling and emboldening domestic terrorism, by concentration camps and prisons and all of the state's violent ventures. So I'm going to ask us to hold a moment of silence for all of those people that we've lost at the hands of the state this year. Thank you. So November 8th, 2016 was earth-shattering, to put it lightly. I had gone to the theater that evening with a friend, and I bounced on home to sit on my couch with a glass of wine, and I was so ready to celebrate the first female president of the United States. I was like so excited. And then the results started coming in, and I was alone with my wine. And eventually I was drinking straight from the bottle and staying up late into the night, wondering how I could have been so naive as to think that this wouldn't happen. Between now and then, I've spent the last 4 years becoming radicalized.
I've been learning about how the law is not about ethics, and it never was. It's always been about control. I've been learning about how the state does not work for my immigrant mother, my disabled father, my mentally ill self, and learning the lethal ramifications that the state has on people who they've made bigger targets of than me. What was ever great about a country that enslaves and murders our black comrades? What was ever great that has happened on stolen land and forgotten indigenous graves? What was ever great in a nation of concentration camps, of medical bankruptcy, of cruel labor practices where poor people and disabled people are considered disposable, where people still starve to death and freeze to death in the richest country in the world? I still can't believe it every time I say that. In 2016, I thought that the world was ending. And this year, the election feels very, very different. But it's not because I have faith in the new administration, it's because I don't have any. They tell us that Biden is a victory. And I'm not saying he's not way better than the counterpart, but the state is inhumane under Republican and Democratic presidents. They tell us that Biden is a victory, but that sounds like gaslighting to me. There will be no victory until every single human being has everything they need, not only to survive, but to thrive. And so maybe there won't be any victory this year or this lifetime. But today and right now, there is community movement. Empires rise and they fall, but there has always been community movement, and there will always be community movement. And it is in community movement that we keep each other alive. So what I'm asking you to do is get to know your neighbors, even if it's a little awkward. Fund your trans friends' top surgery, and fund your black friends' move, and fund your poor friends' everything. Redistribute those resources. Shovel somebody's driveway just because you can, and be someone's emergency contact. Get comfortable with the radical notion that what belongs to me belongs to us, because that is how we keep each other safe. Join your local grassroots organization. Yay! There are so many of us here today. You've heard from people from grassroots orgs in this community waiting with open arms to receive you. And it is in these streets and in each other's arms that we are changing the world. If I've learned anything recently, it's that democracy is not about Democrats. It's about the stranger who hands me a mask at a protest. It's about neighbors running mutual aid programs and organizers buying housing for sex workers. It's about shared gardens and local reparations. And it's about dancing in the street outside of crooked politicians' houses and shutting down their phone lines and bailing comrades out of jail and checking on each other. Politics usually takes a break after Election Day, but community movement is constant. It is the river running through us and the heartbeat of it all. We do not operate under a delusion that a politician is going to save us. We create interdependent communities that rely on each other, not on the state, to keep us safe and well and whole, and we demand that the state end their violence against us. We are Black, Indigenous, people of color, working people, queer people, disabled people, youth, immigrants, and we are the ones we've been waiting for. I want to tell you a little bit about my current political home, New Hampshire Youth Movement. We are a movement of young people that are issues-based, fighting for progressive politics in this state. We're working for the Green New Deal, healthcare for all, free college tuition, which sometimes I say these things to people and they say, how are you going to do that? And to that I say, where there's a will, there's a way. And nothing is out of reach if we can envision a world in which it exists. So if you're here and you're under the age of 35, I invite you to come and chat with us about how you can get involved with our movement. And if you're over the age of 35, please come talk to me about how you can make a donation and support the work that we are doing in bringing up our generation and making sure that we have a livable future with the world that is being left to us. So you've heard from a bunch of different speakers today. If anyone's work resonated with you, go and find them, speak with them, see how you can get involved. And we're gonna hear from Ona to close us out with some music. Thank you all so much for being here. Hi everyone. So I'm gonna sing a song, but before I launch in, I also want you all to sing with me. I mean it. You all have to sing. I think you probably all know this song. It's a Buffalo Springfield song, For What It's Worth. Yeah? Okay. I just want to also say that I'm so glad that we're getting these results and that I'm with all of you here in this beautiful November sunlight. It means a lot to me. We're here for the long game. So here we go. I'm gonna slam on this guitar. Hopefully you can all hear it. But I mean it, you have to all be singing. There's something happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there telling me I gotta beware. Next time we stop, hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. There's battle lines being drawn. Nobody's right when everybody's wrong. Young people speaking their minds, getting so much resistance from behind. It's time we stop. Children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. I'm not hearing enough of you guys singing. What a field day for the heat. 1,000 people in the street, singing songs and they're carrying signs, mostly saying we're for our side. It's time we stop. Children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Paranoia strikes deep. Into your life it will creep. It starts when you're always afraid. Step out of line, the man comes and take you away. It's time we stop. Children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. It's time we stop. Children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. We're just gonna keep this going. It's time we stop. Children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.
I need some dance instruction.
It's time we stop. Children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. It's time we stop. Children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. It's time we stop. Children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. One more time. It's time we stop. Children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Thank you so much, Ona. That was beautiful. Thank you for being
Before everyone leaves, I want to take a minute and I want to say thank you, Jeannie. You here, Jeannie haven't put up so many hours of phone calls, texting. He's been going everywhere in the country to help us to win this election. I want to take a minute and say thank you, Jeannie, for all the work you have done to bring our community together. You have done so much for us. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
The fight continues. The fight continues.
great one.